Before we start, I just ask you to like and subscribe. Thank you. City of Sulan. Finally our protagonist had arrived to the city. At first the main owner of this body was killed for being a thief, and then upon arriving to this world, took the body. Unexpectedly the original owner turned out to be actually the illegitimate son of the great family Orlando. He was here for several reasons. Here he was going to start building his new life, with the help of the system of the strongest lord. The boss of the city gave him the news that his father had passed away last week, and that the new successor of the Orlando family was his brother. Our protagonist, named Richard, asked him what he meant, and he was seriously told to renounce the name Orlando. If he agreed, his brother was willing to give him 500 gold coins, plus a territory for him. Richard looked at the gold coins with a smile. The leader thought he had reached an agreement, but Ricardo told him that the name Orlando was too valuable a name. It was the most precious thing his father had left him. In reality he only wanted more money. So with no other option he grants him a loan of 1,000 gold coins without interest. It was a deal. But before leaving he had heard something about a group of barbarian slaves. The leader of the city admits that it is a good idea to form a guard composed of barbarian slaves. However, he asks him if he was willing to spend 1,000 gold coins to buy slaves who will not follow his orders. Our prota tells him that for that very reason he wants to buy them. Then it will be 20 gold coins per person, making a total of 50. The first step of our prota's plan has succeeded. The leader of the city recognizes that our prota is not an ordinary person. The original Propeterop was beaten to death in the street for stealing. I got the system of the strongest lord, learning martial arts. I wanted to be a knight, but Calvin was a crazy old man and ended up passing me his last name. Someone from the street. Fortunately I got the permission of territorial expansion and came quickly to the city. Already in the arena Richard asks to see the barbarians. The count had given him permission to buy them to form a guard. The lady reminds him that he will not pay a doctor if something happens to him. With such a small body they could take you hostage and escape. They can even kill crocodiles and eat their meat. This seems good to Richard. They can hunt their own food. Maybe they will be honest if he beats them. The lady, disgusted, tells him that he is crazy. They could kill monsters with just 2 or 3 hits. They are just not human. He tells her it's her problem. He checks his system. He had good stats. He thinks today he can show his skills. He introduces himself to the barbarians, telling them he had bought them. He knew that wouldn't be enough, so he proposes them to defeat him to win their freedom. And if they lose they will live and fight for him. Quickly one of them offers. He asks her not to cry if he loses. His name is Russell, a barbarian from the Highlands. The lady tells him that he is completely crazy. She had to stop him, and asking for help to the one who swallowed him. He tells her that he only took it upon himself to follow the count's orders. The lady could not let a nobleman die, or else no one would visit her arena. The barbarians laughingly ask Russell not to use all his strength or he would finish him off, but he would show no mercy. Russell quickly grabs Richard by the shoulders, lifting him up and smashing him to the ground. He thought our prota would be stronger, but it turned out to be garbage, leaving while everyone congratulated him. But Richard holds Russell's foot, standing up and telling him that he only let him hit him first, giving him a quick blow. Richard had been using the system to improve his body for years. He could not afford to be defeated by him, and tells him to stand up. Russell stands up, but our prota quickly grabs him and subdues him. Russell could not believe it, thus asking him to fight once more. The barbarians could not believe it. Our prota defeated Russell again and again. Every time he got up he defeated him again, but Russell did not give up. The barbarians asked him to take the defeat. He had already been defeated 10 times. But someone shouted to them that it was enough. That was the leader, and asked to fight against our prota. He only had to defeat him and everyone would be free. As a nobleman he could not deny it. Richard tells him that it is a promise. This one attacks him quickly. Richard admits that it is fast, and the system notifies him that it is Gunther the barbarian, who has been notified as a hero. He blocks Gunther's blow. It was the first time that the system showed him a hero. He had to prove his strength, and Gunther throws himself again, landing with a strong blow. Gunther takes a piece of the ground while everyone was cheering. He throws the rock on Richard. The lady thought it was all over. Mr. Richard was crushed to death. All the barbarians were celebrating. You are fast and you have great strength. It's good stuff. Our protagonist was still alive. Gunther was surprised and asked him to continue the fight. Richard tells him that as a leader it will take more than brute force to defeat him. She quickly gets behind him and uses her chains to subdue him, but our proto breaks the chains. The barbarians could not believe it. That iron chain was made by the best craftsman of the dwarven race. Not even the leader with all his strength could break it. He had done it with his bare hands. The proto tells her that she is fast, strong and strategist. It will be good to have her in his ranks. Gunther realizes that he did not use all his strength, so he shouts at her to respect her and to please use all of it. Otherwise he will never surrender. He accepts her request, giving her a strong blow that makes her retreat, and in a quick movement the hero subdues her using his hands. She could not move. Gudhen accepts defeat. If he wanted he could take revenge. Richard raises one of his hands. Gunther prepares himself, but he only breaks his chains. Richard gives everyone two options. Option 1. Continue challenging him until he defeats them all, or follow him. To become stronger, Gunther holds his hand, and orders everyone that from this moment on Richard was their new leader. Everyone agreed, thus celebrating the arrival of their new leader. The system notifies him that the barbarians wanted to follow him. In this world full of blood, countless ambitious people wanted to create great feats, but most of them lost their lives in the process. I really want to undertake the journey to know this world. Now that I accept these barbarians, their new life will begin. But right now the first thing was to equip their people. Richard takes everyone to a store. The dwarf Niken gives them a warm welcome. Richard had heard that they sold good weapons in this place. Niken recognizes that he was a master, so touching a hidden button, making the walls move, monstering all the first-class products. The proto gives each one spear and 3 throwing spears. Niken says that the total is 750 gold, but Richard tells him that he only has 29 gold coins. Niken, seeing that he is poor again, presses the button, but our proto tells him not to worry and pulls out a sword. Niken is surprised to see the dragon slashing sword. First time he saw a legendary sword. If he has such a sword he must be someone important, so he will avoid offending him. He tells Richard to keep using that sword, and gives him a card so he can pay on credit. He tells everyone to also take a leather armor. Niken accepts with pain. Gunther asks him what to do after that. Richard tells him that now they are going to take their own territory. Later they were all prepared and ready, while someone is watching them from afar. It was the leader of a gang of goblins and wolves. They were planning to steal everything. The goblin leader tells them to wait until they get a little further. Gunther notices this, and tells Richard that some goblins are watching them. But Richard already knows. He orders them all to take care of the food and get ready to fight. He calls Gunther and asks him to give one of these pills to everyone. Gunther doesn't understand. Richard tells him it's a pill that makes you stronger. Some don't believe him, but Richard convinces them. In reality they are fake. In opening the system, the reality is that they are pills given by the system that allow them to accumulate experience while fighting. In a short time these barbarians will increase in power. With the goblin leader, the wolves were eager to fight, but the goblin stops him. He tells him that only by feeling his aura they will surrender, but he will kill them all. The protagonist tells them all to get ready. They all arrived at the same time. He takes the initiative and attacks with one of his spears charged with power. The spear was going directly to the goblin leader, but he deflects it with his arm cover, admitting that he is strong but he will not be afraid of him, ordering everyone to attack together. So they all start to fight. A fight that the barbarians were losing. Gunther was furious, not knowing what to do. Richard asks for another spear. It's a waste of time to finish them all. He just needs to find the right target. So preparing a spear loaded with fire, he destroys the head of one of the giants. Seeing this, all the wolves and goblins get scared, starting to run away. Seeing this, the barbarians get motivated. One of them was going to die at the hands of a wolf, but with one of the spears Richard kills him. But there was still the goblin leader who was very angry. Richard asks him if he is not afraid of being captured by other races. He tells him that the closest races are only miles away. Our proto thanks the information, so taking out the dragon sword, and with a single cut in the chest, he kills the leader of the goblins. All the goblins, seeing this, start to call our proto a monster. Gunther takes advantage of the enemy commotion, and orders everyone to attack. The system warns of the level increase of everyone. Suddenly everyone starts to feel much stronger. They think it was thanks to the pills that their captain gave him. When everything is over, they inform Richard that they have subdued 2 trolls. Do you want to kill them? He says no, help them load the weapons. Gunther tells Richard that he found a map. He looks at it and with a determined look, he tells them all that their next stop is the high mountain fortress. Then they set off using the trolls. Their speed was good. It didn't take them long to get to the fortress. Richard is checking the system. Every time he went up attributes, the system rewarded him with points, but the tent tab was still blocked. Apparently he still had to level up. Currently the only way he had was melee. His current strength is equivalent to 10 men. Gunther tells Richard that they are coming. Before the battle they all decide to stop at a lake. Richard sees that Gunther is somewhat uncomfortable and tired. He tells him that behind this there was a hidden pond. He will watch for her. And in a nice place he was bathing. At night everyone was ready. The Kalbits were watching. Our Prota tells him not to attack from the front. Inside the fortress a Kalbit wanted to force a companion. When Richard enters, the Kalbit shouts to get ready, but a barbarian tells Richard that they have already disabled everyone outside. The Kalbit leader gets arrogant and starts threatening him. But our hero makes him repent. Gunther unties him at Richard's request. He plans to let him go. He was planning something very bad while he was running away. Gunther did not expect it to be so easy. Our hero had already checked the whole place. It is a place with a lot of living space. Plus the field of vision is excellent. They could see directly several kilometers around. Richard shows everyone a map. He warns everyone to get ready for battle. This fortress is easy to defend and hard to attack. It has water sources that makes it difficult for the enemies to attack. Those dogs will not be able to take this place back easily, and letting the leader go will provoke a retaliation, and he had no money, so it was time to harvest some places and earn some money. Everyone was having dinner. Several days had passed and still no attack, but a barbarian warns Richard that there is an army a few miles from there. Richard gets up and orders everyone to get ready. The army had taken position and were even sleeping peacefully. This group of goblins was surely called by the kobolds. This was the perfect time to establish their position. This one will take Gunther and a team. The rest will stay protecting the fortress. One goblin was asleep. When they woke him up and Gunther finished him off with one thrust. The barbarians were efficiently finishing them all off. The goblins were good at fighting alone, but they were fatal in a group. These barbarians have become a good group. The system not only gives them strength, one of them was confident, but the ground beneath them begins to shake, and out of it comes a large goblin. The goblin lets out a war cry, and orders Bahamut to show himself, and out of the ground comes a creature. The goblin orders them to let them be punished. Gunther attacks with one of the spears, but the skin of the beast was very tough. The goblin lunges at Gunther, but Richard quickly gets in front of the attack, grabs one of the beast's legs, and with all his strength, throws it several meters. The goblin could not believe what was happening. Our Prota orders him to surrender, but this with an axe throws a strong slash. Our Prota stops him with one hand and with the other gives him a big blow. He already knew that this would be a quick fight.